Prison Planet. Santa Cruz. Chapter 1. The Arrival of Karo Venn. Karo Venn had lived long enough to forget the smell of beginnings. After 10 millennia of smuggling, shapeshifting, and running from one system to the next, every dawn smelled the same. Burnt ion trails, hot metal, and his own recycled breath. He had learned 1,000 names, worn 100 faces, and stolen fortunes great enough to fund religions. Yet even he was beginning to suspect that immortality was not the same as freedom.
Perhaps, he once muttered into the cockpit darkness, the universe recycles souls the way it recycles matter. Maybe I've already lived too many times.
But self-pity never paid well, and so when his ship, the Slipstream Joy, blew a plasma valve near the Aldebaran Corridor, he saw not disaster, but opportunity. His sensors picked up an unlisted world, small, lush, covered in static. No galactic beacons, no patrol signals, no registry entries. The kind of silence that hinted at treasure.
"Hide your light, little planet," he murmured. "I'll find what you're hiding."
He leaned forward, the dim violet glow of his cockpit lighting the smooth, silver-gray contours of his true skin. It pulsed faintly with color, his species' way of thinking through pigment. His heartbeat flickered across his chest like a coded message to himself. Treasure, or maybe sanctuary. He was tired of running, even if he couldn't admit it aloud. Descent. The Slipstream Joy cut into the atmosphere, hull shuddering as if trying to shake him loose. The clouds below were dense, thick with water and chemicals. Lightning tangled through them like veins in a dying god. The storm's smell seeped into the ship. Ozone, metal, rot, salt. When he landed, it wasn't so much a landing as a reluctant surrender. The ship dug into mud and stones, spilling steam that smelled faintly of boiled minerals. For a long time, Karo just sat there, letting the gravity settle into him like guilt. When he stepped outside, the world greeted him with a damp slap of wind. Air full of life, bacteria, pollen, spores. The scent was overwhelming, green and sour and human all at once. He inhaled again and felt his cells shrink in protest. Too much oxygen, too much noise in the chemistry of breathing. He tasted the air. Metallic, sweet at the edges, like a planet trying too hard to seem alive. First impressions. The forest around the crash site was crowded with plants that seemed indecently fertile. Leaves glistening like wet tongues, roots pressing up through soil like veins. Somewhere, unseen creatures cried out. Repetitive, territorial sounds that vibrated through his bones. He shifted into his traveling form. Tall, angular, built for diplomacy and deceit. But under this planet's pull, it felt wrong. His limbs dragged, his posture collapsed slightly inward. He walked toward the lights he'd seen from orbit, every step sucking into the mud with a noise like the planet swallowing. When he reached the outskirts of the city, it nearly broke him. Not from awe, but from the mediocrity of it. Boxes stacked upon boxes, lights that buzzed like dying drones, air that stank of fuel and cheap food. The people, humans, his ship's translation module whispered, looked strangely unfinished, as if evolution had run out of interest halfway. Yet there was something touching about their faces. Fragile, hopeful, perpetually distracted. They walked with small machines pressed to their ears, speaking into the void.
He watched one pause beside a glowing sign and bite into a folded piece of dough. The smell of sugar and grease made his stomach tighten in revulsion and fascination. He studied the man's reflection in a shop window and muttered, "Standard pattern, bipeds, bilateral symmetry, mammalian softness, easy."
He closed his eyes. His skin rippled, bones folded like paper. 1,000 cells whispered their new coordinates. When he looked again, his reflection was nearly identical to the man's. Same bone structure, same short hair, same faint scowl of boredom.
He adjusted his height by a few centimeters to blend better, narrowed the jaw, brightened the eyes slightly. Human, handsome, but not memorably so. He even forced himself to feel the itch of the stubble, the pulse of a heartbeat. Primitive, but functional. He said aloud, his voice now perfectly human.
And in that moment, he felt an unexpected sensation. Loneliness. It pressed against his ribs like a small living thing trying to get out.
The search for exit. He returned to the ship at dusk. The sky was red and swollen. The air smelled of iron and rain. He sat in the pilot's chair and whispered, "Query, known bypass for planetary containment protocols."
Containment class planet detected. No registered egress. Dimensional coordinates locked. All exit frequencies neutralized.
Try interdimensional jump, fold through zero space. Engines unstable, probability of successful transit, 0.1%, catastrophic failure likely. I've survived worse odds.
The Slipstream Joy hummed, gathering what remained of its phase energy. The walls flexed, colors bending toward ultraviolet, the air vibrating like a plucked nerve. Space began to thin. He could feel it in his teeth, in the marrow of his false bones.
For one breath, it worked. He saw beyond the clouds, the faint shimmer of the galaxy's spine, and then everything snapped back. The ship groaned like a dying creature and went dark. Outside, the rain began again, slow, deliberate drops that smelled faintly of acid and sweetness. Containment confirmed, said the ship weakly. All exits sealed.
The weight of eternity. He sat motionless for a long time. The air tasted of iron. The silence inside the ship pressed down like an ocean. Karo Venn, smuggler, shapeshifter, liar to 1,000 worlds, realized he had nowhere left to run. He thought of the things he'd done for survival, the contracts broken, the species betrayed, the friends sold to pay for fuel. For centuries, he'd told himself it was all motion, that staying still was the only real death. But now, motion was over. He could feel the question rising inside him like sickness. What now? For the first time, he admitted that he didn't know.
He whispered a prayer, not to any god, but to the nameless sentience his people believed hid in the folds of energy between atoms. Traveler between shapes, he murmured in his native tongue, the words tasting like static and dust. If there is meaning, show me. If this is the end, make it worthy. The silence answered with rain on metal. He almost laughed. Maybe the universe had finally found the perfect punishment for him. Not torment, not execution. Just stillness. Going native. When the storm cleared, he changed again. His alien suit retracted into the skin of a man. He dressed in stolen human clothing, rough denim, faded cotton, smelling of detergent and fatigue. The material scratched at his newly formed skin. The friction felt oddly honest. In the ship's cracked mirror, he examined his reflection. A young man, brown-haired, clear-eyed, with the kind of face that could pass unnoticed anywhere. Blend in, he said quietly. Learn the system. Find the cracks. He placed one hand on the ship's console. Sleep, he ordered. Wait for my call. The lights dimmed. The ship sank into silence, as if exhaling its final breath.
Karo stepped outside. The air felt heavier than before, but somehow cleaner. He walked toward the city lights, shoes sinking slightly in the wet earth. The horizon glowed with dull orange haze. Insects hummed like a low chant. Each step felt deliberate, mortal. He was starting to understand the gravity wasn't just physical, it was existential. The planet's pull was not merely mass, it was meaning. As the first human night swallowed him, Karo Venn looked up at the pale moon and smiled bitterly. He had come seeking treasure, he had found confinement. But perhaps, somewhere within this living cage, there was still a way to escape. If not from the planet, then from himself. Karo's first full day as a human began with hunger. Not the clean hunger of an energy-starved plasma being, but the crude chemical gnawing of an organic stomach. It growled so loudly that a passing woman gave him a startled glance. He smiled back, his first spontaneous human expression, and it hurt his face. The city smelled of heat, sugar, and petroleum. Frying fat mingled with the sour breath of traffic. The air tasted like someone had dissolved metal shavings in smoke. Karo followed the scent of cooking until he reached a small stall under a flickering sign that read, Tacos El Rey.
¿Qué quieres, amigo? Karo. Yes. Vendor. Good answer. I give you 1 beef, 1 chicken.
Minutes later, Karo held 2 warm bundles of food that bled orange grease onto his fingers. The first bite was an explosion of salt, heat, and sour lime. His new tongue tingled. The flavor felt too much, like color turned solid. His body fought it, then adjusted.
You new around here? You look lost. Karo. Just arrived. From where? Far away. Everyone says that? The man chuckled. Welcome to Earth, brother. Nobody leaves?
Don't do that here. You're new, the man said, and careless. You've made quite the entrance, Mr. Venn. Usually we intercept intruders before they breathe the local air, but things are understaffed these centuries. Back? There is no back, you're already home, but you could be useful. Think of this as rest, an assignment with purpose, protecting the line between order and entropy. Activate it when you decide it will find me.
For now, he whispered, I'll play your game.
Dawn in Santa Cruz always smelled of two things: salt and secrets. Mist crawled up from the Pacific, spilling across the boardwalk and the sleeping amusement rides like a slow tide of memory. Karo Venn stood on the wharf in borrowed human skin, watching fishing boats ease through the fog. His reflection in the dark water shimmered, one moment a man, the next a ripple of silver veins and star metal beneath. Blend, breathe, belong. Now he worked as a security analyst for a tech firm on Mission Street that was, in truth, an arm of the Galactic Authority's corrections division. Keep the locals calm, Seth said, handing Karo a tablet filled with data he couldn't decrypt. Your kind always had empathy. Use it. Containment field intact, the AI whispered, the same each night. No exits, no errors. He had tried microfolds through subspace. He'd burned half his remaining power in one reckless jump attempt. Each time, the universe folded back neatly, like origami denying his touch. Earth was sealed. The perfect cage.
One rain-heavy night while he ran diagnostics, the ship shuddered. Unauthorized signal, the AI croaked. Extra-galactic band. Do not fear. I am Val of the Dominion. We come from beyond your galaxy's rim. Why contact me? Because you are inside the gate, and the gate must open. The Authority built this planet as the keystone of its prison lattice. Break it, and the others will fall. Break Earth, Karo whispered. You'll kill billions. Freedom costs, Val replied. Decide what it's worth.
Karo stepped outside into the damp forest. The storm had passed. Fog hung in strands among the trees. He walked toward the faint lights of the city below, and stopped. You shouldn't be here, he whispered. Maybe neither should I, he said, smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in centuries. Later, lying beside the humming core, he whispered to her, I've been running so long I forgot what I was running from.